Hi there, I'm Adam from Cardboard Studio. Welcome to another episode about 3D Breakable Core Pack. Today we're diving into item loot. This episode is split into a few sections: loot item, loot table, global loot settings, overriding global loot settings, loot algorithm independent probability check, and loot algorithm roulette wheel selection. If you are not interested in every part of this video, feel free to use the timestamps to jump around the episode. Now, let's get started by opening Demo Scene 4, which was designated specifically to showcase loot presentation. The 3D Breakable Core Pack offers an implemented solution for adding item drops to your breakable items. Solution is built around two types of scriptable object: loot item and loot table. A loot item is a scriptable object that stores information about lootable object. Loot item scriptable object instances, created for purposes of included demo scenes, are located in 3D Breakable Core Pack, Scriptable Objects, 01 Loot Item folder. In order to create new loot item, right-click in the selected project folder, go to Breakable Core Pack, then Loot, and finally choose Loot Item. Select New Added New Loot Item. Change default name of new created New Loot Item. Finally, assign prefab in Inspector tab of New Added Loot Item. A loot table is a scriptable object that holds an array of loot items and their drop chances. Instances of loot table created for the demo scenes can be found in 3D Breakable Core Pack, Scriptable Objects, 02 Loot Table folder. In order to add new loot table, right-click in selected project folder, go to Breakable Core Pack, Loot, and click on Loot Table. Select New Added New Loot Table. Change default name of new created New Loot Table. Add required amount of loot records. In each loot record, assign a loot item and its drop chance. Global loot settings are declared in Describable Manager located in Scene, under Loot tab. So, what will happen if there is no Describable Manager in Scene? If there is no Describable Manager located in Scene, it will be added when needed. Manager will be created as a copy version located in Resources folder. As a result, settings included in default version will be applied. Now, let's say that we need some item to have its own loot table, like Epic Boss Chest, which had some granted drop. In order to make it happen, we could use Override Global Loot option. Each item with a desirable fall item component has an override loot option. When enabled, allows for changing global loot settings by enabling or disabling dropping loot, enabling or disabling spreading loot, declaring different spread radius, choosing different loot algorithm, or finally assigning different loot table. Now, let's take a moment to speak about implemented loot algorithms. Currently there are two. First, it's called independent probability check, and second, roulette wheel selection. Now let's focus on independent probability check. This algorithm evaluates each element in the loot table individually. For each element, the algorithm performs a random check, and if the condition is met, the loot item is added to the spawned loot list. So, if our loot table have 3 loot records, and each of item will be lucky enough to pass condition check, all 3 loot items will be dropped as a reward for the player. Now, let's speak about roulette wheel selection. This algorithm assigns each element in the loot table a segment on a roulette wheel based on its chance value. Then, a single random number is generated to determine which segment will be selected. The item corresponding to the selected segment is added to the spawned loot list. The process ensures that items with higher chances occupy larger segments, increasing their likelihood of being selected. So, even if our loot table have 100 loot records, only one could be dropped for the player. If you enjoyed this asset, please consider leaving a review. It would help me tremendously. And if you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate if you'd like, comment and share. It means a lot and helps me keep going. That's all from Cardboard Studio for now. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.